I'm Neil.
I'm Pat.
I'm Michael.
And this is the 411. We're covering everything in the football world. Just a couple guys in the basement.
Your
Nothing better to
expressions
do.
change every week.
Boys, I
Sometimes
agree.
it's this. Sometimes it's like this.
Dude,
this week it's this.
Dude,
I'm
covering all the bases this week. I'm covering all the bases this week. Neil, I am doing superb. Got a big Super Bowl matchup we're getting into today. I'm excited.
We're breaking down all that. All
54.
the aspects.
Super
all
Bowl
the
LIV.
The nitty-gritty.
Let's go. Talk to me, Mike.
What's going
Talk
on?
to me nice.
I'm okay.
That's all. Hold on.
That's not.
Hold
no,
on.
no.
I just came with
No,
so
no.
much energy. You go.
I'm okay.
I'm okay.
Kind
Come
of-
on, man.
Good. I'm excited for this pot. This is gonna be one of our last podcasts for the season. Let's go! Let's go! Come on!
Let's
Come
go.
on! All right, let's get a quick outline for the day.
Let's
Quick
go.
outline for today.
Hit me
So, as always, we're going to start off with
A and B,
A and B,
baby.
of
Let's
course.
go!
We're going to really break down flaws and strengths of each team.
Really want to break down the Super Bowl and like the real nitty gritty, like
But of course,
what strengths, like what's gonna happen.
so we're going to
What's
start
gonna-
off with flaws. So we're going to do Chiefs flaws and then Niners flaws and then strengths, Chiefs strengths, Niners strengths. And then we're going to decide we're actually going to save our winners to the end. So I really formatted some of my analysis just based off like it could go either way, and then we'll say our picks at the end. Then we got top 3 Super Bowl moments this week.
All right, let's hop into it,
Who wants-
man. A and B.
A and B me.
Let's do it.
So this week I figured it should be something Super Bowl related, kinda.
Yep.
Tight ends.
Okay.
Who is the bigger asset?
Hold on. I know what you're gonna ask.
Yep.
Say it.
Kelsey Kittle.
Kittle. Well. Hold on.
Hold on.
This is a
hold
specific
on,
question.
Hold on. Better all around. Because-
Better all around Kelsey or Kittle?
Yes. You think Kittle?
Kittle.
This is actually 2 pods in a row where both people have said
I agree.
B.
Because
Twice.
you said who's a bigger asset, I would have picked Kelsey.
Asset
When,
implies
and
all
then,
around.
But then you said all around.
No,
that means
asset-
blocking too.
Asset
means asset
all
to the
around.
team, like all around, yeah.
Yeah, that
He's
means
a
all around.
dude. Travis Kelsey is a glorified receiver.
Yes,
he is
but
a
that-
wide
But
receiver.
that's still asset. Asset means all
I
around.
guess, of course, it's
But
an
he's
asset.
also a very good blocker.
But in
whereas-
general,
No,
a
Kittle's
tight
not
end.
a great blocker. I mean, sorry, Kelsey's not a great
No,
blocker.
not at all.
Kittle is.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. If we're talking all around, like all the things that a tight end needs to do to be a good tight end,
Yep.
I think Kittle covers.
And
I also think
compare,
the Niners-
compare the run games for a second. 49ers run game, Chiefs run game. Obviously,
Yeah.
49ers have a better run game.
Yep.
And I think that has a lot to do with Kittle being a great run blocker and Kelsey being
Absolutely.
like mediocre.
I think
on
he
the
gets no
outside.
credit
But
for that. And I don't think tight ends frequently do.
No,
Right? They don't get any credit for the blocking that they do for that O-line.
And I
It's
also
very
think you
interesting.
saw-
Who was the best run blocking tight end other than Gronk for the last decade or so?
Not Graham.
No.
Not
I
Kelsey.
promise you've never heard of this guy in your entire life.
Hold on. Never
Never
even heard of him.
He was a tight end for the Tennessee Titans. His name was Anthony Fasano.
Never heard of him.
Exactly. Never heard of him. But he was so good at run blocking, he went unheard because he didn't have very good receiving numbers.
Yeah. Could it have
Running-
been?
run
Could it have
block-
been he didn't have anyone who could throw to him?
Well, he played for... Yeah, okay. But...
Well, agreed. I see what you're saying.
But you see what I'm saying.
Yes,
the
I
run
do.
block it doesn't
Yep.
go as high, obviously, as receiving.
Agreed.
But I mean,
So-
Kittle, 5 touchdowns on the season, a couple games over 100 yards.
Did he go over 1,000 yards?
Because people, and I think that's primarily because people like what they can see and define. It's tangible. Oh, Gronk had this many.
1,053.
Gronk had this many receptions. He made this. You don't
You don't see what goes on behind the scenes with those
exactly.
blocks. And I think that's just so important. And that's something that Gronk could do.
And that's also kind of why the O-line doesn't get as much credit as sometimes it should. You know what I mean?
I agree. I think that's what makes Gronk the greatest of all time. He could do both. And he was so dominant with
Yeah,
his...
I don't know if Tony Gonzalez could do both. I don't know.
He couldn't. And that's and I think that's really the frustrating thing about me when people say, and look, he didn't play for a long time.
Gonzalez
dude.
had the stats.
I know.
Gonzalez has the stats to be the greatest of all
And hey,
time.
I like Gonzalez. Tony Gonzalez was a great player.
But Gronk has the rings. That's the thing.
Agreed.
I think that's definitely the killer for him.
So, what we got flaw. You got it. Go for it.
I'm going to start off by talking about the
Love
Chiefs'
the energy.
fatal flaws.
Chiefs
Okay.
favorite. So we're hopping into every single flaw and
and
strength of each team.
Yeah. So, I want to first start off by saying, we're here.
We made
The
it.
Super Bowl
Super Bowl 50.
Is fast approaching.
You know what's crazy about this? Sorry. I remember when I was... So how old were we in Super Bowl 50? I'm 17. These two are 16. How old were we in Super Bowl
14?
50?
14.
Well,
It's simple math. 14.
I don't
math. I was 14 years old, meaning I was in, what, 7th? I was in 7th grade because 8th grade was 51. And I was like, wow, 50, that's crazy. We're already at 54. Like what?
Yeah,
I just like the
crazy.
time, imagine, like 55, like LV, like it's just like,
Time is
Yeah,
flying.
Pat,
oh
1
my,
year.
shut
the
up!
numbers
You
go
know what
up.
I mean, dude.
Whoa,
It's
what a
crazy.
concept.
I don't know. But yeah, I'm hyped, man. Super Bowl, baby.
I feel like it's pretty obvious what the Chiefs' biggest flaw is. It's the run game.
Run game.
I
Okay.
don't see how you can really argue
Agreed.
something else. I mean, the Chiefs as a team, they rank 22nd in rushing yards per game, 23rd in rushing percentage, 27th in rushing attempts per game, and 20th in rushing yards per attempt. I hear a lot of 20s in there, which means they're the bottom 10 in almost every single rushing
And they're
statistic.
supposed to be the top 2 in the league because they're in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
That's a problem.
It's also worth noting that in both playoff games, Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback, has led the team
Led
in
the
rushing.
team. Yep.
But also, it's not like they aren't giving Damian Williams the ball either. I mean, he has 29 carries in 2 weeks, which leads the team over that span. It's just the running game hasn't been
It
very
just
good this
hasn't
year.
been clicking.
Well, to an extent, I don't really think that they depend on it all.
I know,
that
no, I
much.
just said that.
Yeah.
But it's not like they aren't giving Damian Williams... It's not like they aren't giving him the ball. They give him
Agreed.
30 in 2 weeks.
It's not non-existent, but it's certainly not,
They're
the
obviously a
focal point of what
pass-heavy
their
team,
offense is.
but
Yeah.
okay. So the Chiefs have found themselves in holes very early in games. They were down 24 to the Texans, down 10 to the Titans. Luckily, they were at home, so they
they've
could
done
win
it
those
behind.
games.
Right. You know what I mean? And they've proven themselves time and time again that they're able to.
But in the Super Bowl, it might be hard to do that against a stingier Niners defense who don't give up leads very early. Expect the 49ers to adapt to the Chiefs' lack of run game. That's my biggest flaw.
I like that. I like that call. I'm
Literally
just,
everything
I'm,
verbatim.
I'm just going to build off of what Michael said. It has to be the run game. Like he
Yep.
said, Mahomes has the most rushing yards for the Chiefs in both playoff games that they played. I think that tells you the entire story. Damian Williams, 17 touches for 15 yards. That's a 2.8 yards
No.
per touch.
17 touches for 15?
No, 17 for 45.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
17 for 45, yep.
Yeah, I read that wrong. Sorry.
2.6, yeah.
I had 45. I didn't have my glasses
You're
on.
good, you're good.
That's a 2.8 yards per touch.
2.6.
6?
You're good.
This is gonna hurt them with the dominance of the Niners, just defense in general, up
I
front.
agree.
Like you got being this 2-dimensional in this game, like you said, it's gonna severely hurt them. I see the Chiefs' weakness clearly being the run game.
All right, let's hop into Niners flaws. So I think, evidently, Niners' biggest flaw, obviously, receiving core, or lack thereof, some would say. 27th in the league in completions per game. They're pretty much relying solely on Sanders, Samuel, and Kittle as well.
Those are guys you can lean on. I really don't think
One of
Zach
them's a
lean on those
rookie,
guys.
one of them's injury riddled, and then Kittle's a playmaker.
Right.
But I don't want to put, all my eggs
Well,
in it.
no.
and we were just talking about how we think that the Niners can game plan for the lack of the run game. I think that Chiefs defense can game plan for Kittle.
They did it last
Hands
week against
down.
Derrick Henry,
Derrick-
and I would argue, pretty easy argument, but I argue that Raheem Mostert, not as good as Derrick Henry.
Okay, true. Very true.
Obviously. It's obvious.
Yeah, but I mean, I want to argue that he did better
Last
clearly.
week,
I'm just saying that why can't he have the repeated performance?
because the Packers didn't have a good run defense.
I guess you're right.
Nor
I
did
guess
the
you're
Kansas
right. I guess
Chiefs,
you're right.
The Packers didn't game plan for it. The
Yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs did.
And they're going to.
And which is why the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl and why the Packers
aren't.
You know?
Very true.
I think this new and improved Chiefs secondary under Steve Spagnuolo is going to have zero problem shutting down the Niners' very few receivers. This game is really going to depend on how much Boston can penetrate this Chiefs defense.
Yeah,
Go for it.
I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. Just kind of think,
Interesting.
No.
I think it's going to be...
No way, dude. Patrick Mahomes on that field, this is going to be...
I think it's going to be very high scoring.
I don't think it's going to be crazy high scoring, but it's going to be more than, 20, 25 points at, each team.
Well, yeah, I'd say that, but, for a Super Bowl, I mean.
Yeah, what's the spread? Or the over-under?
The spread is 53. Or 54.
Okay.
54, yeah, I think. So, my 49ers fatal flaw, I went back and forth. Part of me wants to say the wide receiver core.
I had the exact same problem, and Jimmy G, right?
But part of me wants to say, who's the guy throwing it to him? Mm-hmm. Who's the guy that makes the receivers a little bit worse?
I have had the exact same problem.
So, I'm going to say Garoppolo just because he's what makes the wide receivers worse.
Yep. You think you would say Garoppolo is
I'm going to say Garoppolo is the weakest link on that team.
Okay.
Biggest fatal flaw.
I want to hear you.
That's
I'm going to hear you out.
Biggest fatal flaw.
Go ahead.
So, Jimmy's stats in the regular season are actually very good.
They're really good.
Mm-hmm. It's weird. He's 11th in passing yards, 8th in rating, 4th in completion percentage, 8th in touchdowns, 4th in yards per pass. So, in almost every stat, he's top 10 in the NFL, except for passing yards where he's 11th. But for some reason, those stats just have not transferred over to the playoffs. He has a combined 200 yards, 70 and 30, 71 game, 130 other, in his 2 playoff games.
That's not right.
I was going to say, you have something to say.
No, continue.
Okay.
You're fine.
He has only 1 touchdown in those 2 games, and he has 1 interception.
So, question: why do you think that is? I think it's got a lot to do with.
Yeah, continue.
I think it's got a lot to do with nerves. He hasn't been there before.
I agree.
Nerves.
But you always say he had 1 interception.
Hold on. Time out. He's been there before.
Oh, God.
No, he
hasn't.
He hasn't. He has not been there.
He's not been there before. Has he taken a snap in a playoff game?
No,
I
but
rest my
he's
case.
been on the
No,
bench.
he has not.
Not
On the bench. He's been clapping on Brady for winning all those rings.
I
This is
remember-
Jason Garrett.
All I remember is Super Bowl 49 when he threw Butler put the interception. I just see Garoppolo behind Brady hopping around just like him. That's all he did that entire game.
That's all you know.
Which is, dude, it's still sick. But I definitely agree with Michael. Mm-hmm. But one thing I want to mention, he only had 1 interception. So is he really being utilized too much? So I agree that
he's a quarterback.
Of course. He's not. I'm not saying he's had. I think he's choking. I agree that he's not playing well. Not all because that he's not being utilized, but their run game is good.
Attempts last week, but he should be. There's got to be some sense of uncomfort in Kyle Shanahan that's saying we can't rely on Garoppolo to win us this game.
Well, you don't know that.
But
So all right. So you're Shanahan.
I agree that there is some.
What's your game plan? I'm kind of putting you on the spot. What's your game plan going into this game? How do you prep for this?
I'm gonna stick with it just like I did last week with the Titans and the Chiefs. The Titans can't the Titans couldn't. I'm sorry, I gotta clip my thoughts for a second. Kansas City, you knew they were gonna come out to an early lead, so the Titans couldn't just run the ball the entire time, right?
Yep.
So, and I think that's what kind of was the Titans' downfall, because Tannehill couldn't lead them, which is why I don't think Garoppolo can go from throwing for 200 combined yards to throw for 300 or 3 touchdowns the next game. I think that's what they're gonna have to do in this game. I don't think they can ask for Garoppolo to throw 100 yards and touchdowns and win.
This is a high-powered Chiefs defense, and I think actually this is where the Chiefs defense and the Niners defense have the edge. This is they're trending. This is a trending Chiefs defense.
The Chiefs as a whole are peaking at the right time.
And the Niners, there was a point in the season where the Niners defense was a little shaky, a little spotty. Yep. They had improved from that little spot that they had. I'm just saying that why can't that happen right now? You don't know that, dude. The Chiefs have been like this. This defense has been this. Mm-hmm. And we've seen it's been a straight improvement. They're peaking at the right time.
Agreed.
That team in general, but I really want to highlight the defense. Just in general, they've really been hitting the hammer on the nail.
Which emphasizes kind of why the Ravens aren't here. I think one of you guys mentioned
solid defense.
They did.
No, he's talking about peaking at the right time.
I think one of you said last pod.
I've been saying it all year. I'm like, dude, the Ravens are peaking at the wrong time. I'm like, they're peaking.
You have been
early.
saying that all
I've been
year.
saying the entire year, and I think it's also that. And I've apologized 1,000 times for this. I was wrong about Lamar Jackson. He should not have had the rest. Pat called me out on it 3 podcasts in a row. I'll say it again. He should not have had the rest, and I'll stick to it right now. Those 3 weeks of rest are what are why the Ravens are not
honestly,
representing
it's
the
why
AFC.
they lost.
I think it's
why they lost.
I think when you sit you
He fell out of his
You
team.
know what?
3-week
That's
rest.
a young team too.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my dad about it actually. He was like, I was watching it, and I agree with him, but like I didn't get my opinion from him, but I agree with him, and he's watching it, and he sees on the TV. He gets after work, he lies on the couch as dads do. His hands are like this. He's watching the TV. He's half asleep. Yeah, exactly. He's watching the TV.
Oh, what? I was watching it. Go to change the channel. I was watching that. Dad, shut up.
So it comes across the TV and it says Jackson is being benched week 17, and I see my dad go, "That's the biggest mistake that the Ravens will make this entire season."
right.
He goes. If Tom Brady was doing that, that would be acceptable because that is a veteran. Like a couple years ago, if Tom Brady were to be like, "Sit, hold on," that's okay because he needs the rest.
Belichick doesn't sit his players.
I know, but if he were to, he
It'd be
needs.
fine because he's
Weathered. He would need the rest because obviously Brady would a couple years ago would have obviously been getting older, and that was in general not a young team. If the Patriots were to
team
sit
of veterans.
right, if the Patriots this year were to sit all of their receivers, if they didn't have to play week 17, that would be a mistake because there's a ton of young receivers. Do you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
But what I'm saying
think
in
also-
general, in the overarching theme, this was a young, talented but young Ravens team. There are a lot of young studs that should not have been sat, and I think that's what's
maybe not just a
screwed them.
young team, but the key pieces on their team were young, which I think is what you need to
And that shows
highlight.
for a lot of success in the future. Obviously.
Exactly. So I wanted to highlight Lamar Jackson was sat week 17. Pat talked about being weathered in the playoffs. How many completions did Lamar Jackson have in his first playoff game, which was last year? How many completions do you think he had?
Who'd they play?
The Chargers.
Chargers.
How many completions do you think they had?
I don't know.
Guess.
15.
15.
8.
He had 3 completions.
Wow.
Lamar Jackson had three throws that he had was caught by another receiver. So
Out of how many attempts?
9. So you can't tell me that he is playoff ready and
Yeah,
needed the 3 weeks of rest.
Yeah.
I completely agree. So back to we're a little tangent, but we're back on track. 49ers fatal flaws. Garoppolo, they may not have necessarily needed him because the run game is honestly incredible. They're
It's
averaging
incredible.
225 yards per game.
That-
and
that-
235 yards per game in the playoffs.
I think that tells you everything. I literally think that is the stat to remember.
Agreed.
That is absurd.
But-
That's crazy.
His absence may prove to be costly in the Super Bowl.
Who's
leave that
absence?
there.
Oh, Garoppolo.
Jimmy
Of course,
G.
yeah.
We saw that happen with the Titans and Ryan Tannehill, as I said before. Now performing well, and look what happened to them against the same team, Kansas City Chiefs.
Agreed, but I do think,
No,
as
dude, it's the same team. It's the same situation.
agreed, but I think the Niners defense will save them more than the Titans failed to do.
The Titans defense will not be
Okay,
as
so
prominent as
okay,
the 49ers defense.
okay.
will.
So,
I agree. No, I
so-
agree with you.
So I agree. I agree with your comparison of them relying on a run game, which is what they did against the Packers, and you're comparing to that Titans.
You just think they have more reason to do that because they have the safety net of the 49ers defense.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm sleeping better at night knowing that I have that defense, and if I were Mike Vrabel, I'd be wishing that. Yeah.
We're completely
Okay.
here. We are completely agreeing right now. And I think that's a big reason of why they're not relying on Garoppolo as much. I just think when you're facing a high power offense,
And
like
you know what?
like
I think
Mahomes and company,
I think Garoppolo's gonna be utilized more in the Super Bowl, dude.
Oh,
utilized more.
He has to be.
Yes,
He has to
So
be.
there's a big like
And the question
Question mark
mark is gonna be
yes, we're question mark.
is he gonna perform?
Dude, we're still here. I
know
was
what?
just saying, utilize more. Does that mean he's going to perform well?
Right.
Or used more?
He's gonna be utilized.
He gets to be used more. Is he gonna?
Expect a lot of
better.
passes,
Yes.
but
Are
is he
there going to be
gonna?
a lot of completions and yards that follow those passes? That's the
That's
question.
the question.
Here's another question. Do you expect a lot of picks?
I'm not going to set an expectation.
Well,
on that. I don't think
Garoppolo,
so.
it's good. Garoppolo's a gunslinger. He throws balls, and you were saying last podcast he makes some sloppy mistakes. And I think that comes with being
I
young.
think he was.
Just a question.
He was fourth in yards per pass. So he averages the fourth most yards per pass. I mean, he tries to sling it down the field with receivers that, to Neil's point, might not be the best
so maybe
receiving
that might
committee you
attest to the
have.
fact that he's throwing a lot of picks.
Which
and
might
maybe
also attest to the fact that they might not want to rely on Garoppolo as much.
We're really getting like both sides of this.
But they
This is
have
good.
to. But they have to.
You think they have to in order to win?
Because Mahomes,
The
dude.
Niners
What
need to
word?
throw. The
Yeah,
Niners
gotta
got
be
to
Patrick
some-
Mahomes.
The Niners got to throw everything they got.
I think so too.
Offense and
So I
defense.
think Garoppolo needs to play well if they want to beat this hot and explosive team in the Chiefs.
I agree.
Okay.
I mean, my 49ers weakness. There was a lot of like back and forth in my mind about is it Garoppolo, is it the receivers? I think it's both. I really think it's both. But in the end, I decided on receivers.
Okay.
Deebo Samuel, 2 catches in the NFC Championship for 46 yards. Emmanuel Sanders, how many catches?
0.
Zero
None.
catches.
0 catches.
That is not good.
At all. Nope.
You can say all you want about the stud running back, 4 touchdowns. You can say what you want about that.
And
And
say what you want about Derrick Henry. Look what happened.
there you go. History repeats itself. I'm a
Very
firm
comparable.
believer in that. You can say what you want about that guy, but if you don't get any passes to Emmanuel Sanders, someone who's not elite, but he's a solid player.
But,
So Emmanuel Sanders can hold his own. The offense is not going to be able to run without.
Injury riddled though.
I
agree.
was just gonna say that.
The offense is not going to be able to flow properly without any passing game whatsoever. And I agree with Michael that we're going to be seeing a lot of that in this game. The game plan was definitely not to run it to Raheem Mostert the entire game, clearly. So he had an absolutely absurd game.
And the thing is that I think it proves to how like versatile this team is because the week before, Tevin Coleman's the one that caught fire, and I'm pretty sure I could be wrong. He either had 100 or 150 yards rushing. I'm gonna
Against
check
who?
that right. He had 105 for 22 carries against the Vikings. Right. The week later, Raheem Mostert seems to be the
Yeah.
bell cow, receives all the carries.
It really
gets all
is
the
week
yards,
to week,
gets
and
all
that's
the
the funny
fame.
thing that you say that because in fantasy, I'd be looking at like you guys, and I was thinking it was one of my friends.
This committee's gonna be so hard to figure out
Yeah.
next year. Oh my god!
And it was one of my friends I think who had Breida. Breida would have 1 week 40 points. Tevin Coleman 1 week. I had Coleman. I feel like every single time I benched him, 40 points.
Yeah.
Start him 2 points. like
Yeah,
you
it's
really, it really is a guessing game for that backfield. It really is. So I think when you take this red hot Chiefs defense, that the Niners are they going to be able to withhold them? I think it's going to be a problem. I really think this is going to be a really big problem for the 49ers. And I'm going to go as far as this. If they're not able to stop, this sounds obvious. This is a booger moment. But if they can't stop this run, they're going to lose.
Hands down.
They're going to lose.
But definitely booger moment.
It was kind of obvious. Yeah.
So I kind of want to hop into Chiefs' strength. So Chiefs, hands down, their biggest strength.
On 3, 1, 2, 3.
Weapons on
Patrick Mahomes.
offense.
We have some different.
We have some.
I would like to hear what you say
Okay.
first, and what idiocracy you have to back this up with. But let's hear it. Why do you think that the weapons are the biggest strength?
Because, before I even say anything, do you think Mahomes would be as successful as he is without the weapons
Of course
that
not.
he has?
Of course not.
No. Okay, I can flip that coin. Do you think that
The receivers
would
will be as successful
Because
as them.
okay, look,
They need
maybe
each other.
Chelsea-
They need each other.
Because they're talented. There's some talented dudes on that
Did
offense.
you ever hear of Travis Kelce before Patrick Mahomes came to town?
I think that's I think that is a
you-
fantastic.
You've
No.
heard of him. But
I knew
No.
who he was.
Yeah,
he was
I
like,
knew who he was. Yeah,
who
exactly.
he was.
No, that was the
Fantastic.
question though. Did you hear?
Oh
of
my
him?
god!
Not
No,
did he
alright.
perform
Was
well?
he what? Oh my god!
Okay,
stop.
did he
putting-
perform well?
This is mock trial.
Right.
God, did Travis Kelce
I don't-
perform well as a tight end before Patrick Mahomes
I don't
came
know.
to town?
I just feel like
No, he did not.
When we're,
No, he
if
did
we're
not.
if we're debating over the past, what year you want to start? 2017.
17? 18.
Okay.
That's when Mahomes came.
Okay. Let's go a year or two prior to that. I'm
not going to argue this. Travis Kelce was
Travis
not like.
Kelce was
I
not.
think when we were talking about like top 6, maybe top 10 tight ends in the league, I think Kelsey's in that conversation. Maybe he's not top 2 or top 3.
Exactly. He's the top 2 tight end because of Patrick Mahomes. Right. If you're debating top 10 and top 2, there's one piece that kind of connects those two together, and it's Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
He's the reason that.
All right,
Travis
I'm
Kelce's
gonna hop
that
on.
good.
So all right. So delve into it.
Well, all right. I want to hear what you have to say because Travis Kelce is the only weapon on offense.
I have for weapon Kelsey, Watkins, Hill. Obviously, you know what? I'm with you. Biggest offensive weapon, Mahomes.
Okay.
You
Wow,
have
you swayed
changed.
him.
I digress. You have swayed me.
All right. So I'm just gonna start off with obviously, as we just said, Patrick Mahomes. I don't think I really need to explain myself.
Yeah,
But I
we
will
talked
anyway.
about it a ton last pod.
He's second in touchdowns of the season, and I will agree.
Mhm.
Regular season stats don't matter as much as postseason, but I'm going to get into the postseason.
Mhm.
Second in touchdowns, third in rating, fourth in yards, ninth in completion percentage, third in yards per pass.
Crazy.
4 out of 5 of those are top 5 statistics.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Really, dude? Please continue. That's all you need to say.
that's really what he
That,
said.
there you
And
go.
then even more to back that up, I'll just talk about the postseason stats. He's leading all postseason players in yards thrown, touchdowns, and completion percentage. The top 3 passing statistics you need to know. Mahomes revived their offense in back-to-back weeks. When the Chiefs found themselves in a hole, you couldn't count out Patty Mahomes,
Mhm.
and you can't do it again against the 49ers if they find themselves in a hole. If the run defense, just obliterates this Chiefs run defense, who, in the regular season, proved to not be that great, but as of late, obviously, stopped Derrick Henry, they might do it again. So,
He's the reason that they're here.
exactly. So I'm going to defer to Pat and the biggest strength.
You think
There's nothing else I can say.
Agreed.
There's nothing else I can say.
Hop into Niners? You
I'll hop
go
into
for it.
Niners' strength. I think the biggest strength, just in general, just the overarching, it's got to be the Niners D. They have proven time and time again that they belong in this game, and I really think
Mhm. I have the same-
is
yep.
it strong to say it carried them? I think it might be a little strong to say it carried them. It was a huge outset.
I said no, and then I thought about the run game. So
They're first in yards allowed on defense. They don't allow. They're like a brick wall. You just can't you can hold them so accountable every single game. If you need a big third or fourth down stop, they got you. And the asset of Richard Sherman, 3 interceptions. He's a big player.
he wasn't really that great last week. He had a
And
catch,
you know what's really interesting?
but they didn't target him at all.
Did you hear about the Sherman Darrell
Yeah,
Revis?
Yes.
I was just gonna say
was
that. Yes,
Very interesting.
it was.
It was back and forth.
So Darrell Revis and Richard Sherman had a little bit of a Twitter beef going on.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny because Revis was highlighting the fact that they didn't target
That he sunk
Sherman.
in the coverage, right?
Yeah, but Sherman's look at
You're
my
watching
stats,
this from your
dude.
couch,
Yeah,
yeah.
that too. So
One of the tweets was enjoyed the game on the couch.
exactly.
He called him a has-been.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like,
This has-been's trying to come at me from his couch. I'm like,
right. Hey, I mean, who's in the Super Bowl?
agreed.
I rest my
who's
case.
retired. So
Hey, has Revis ever?
Yep.
Well, he went to the Patriots. Never mind.
yeah. So I want to piggyback on Pat's point
Go
about the
for it.
defense, though.
Can I?
Oh, I defer. Please, please.
So-
I digress.
I just kind of want to hop in. So obviously, crazy. Their Niners defense. I think.
Oh, so we all have defense.
Are we all on the same page?
We all have defense.
Okay, same page.
Niners defense.
I think most people would agree. First in opponent passing yards per game. They actually rank second in league in opponent total yards per game. Just all around absurd defense. That's go for it.
Yeah.
It's settled. To be
All
said.
right, so
Go
I'm
for
going to
it.
make another comparison. The Niners' defense is just as necessary, as valuable to Mahomes to the Chiefs.
Yes.
Let that settle for a
hands down.
second. Let that settle for a second.
I'm gonna let this settle for a second.
I've already
I'm
contemplated
going
that.
to talk. I'm going to talk.
Say,
let us
hold
settle.
on. Say that statement one more time. I
The
just want to be.
49ers defense
Yep.
is
As
just
crucial.
as valuable
To their
the
team.
49ers, to the team, as Patrick Mahomes is to the Chiefs. Just let that
Um,
marinate. Let that marinate.
I'm gonna let
So-
him marinate.
Okay.
I'm also, the run game is super important, but I think the defense is more prominent and more valuable to the 49ers.
I agree.
So let's get into it. Here are the 49ers rankings. Second in yards per game.
Crazy.
Second in yards per play. Fifth in opposing points per game. And second and third down completion percentage.
Yep.
As in converting the third down.
Converting.
And their passing defense is number 1 in the NFL. They're facing Patrick Mahomes, who is the greatest
Gonna
passing
be a tall order.
quarterback
Gonna
in
be
the
a,
NFL.
Yep.
This stat might come in handy.
Time out. So when you're talking about third down conversion percentage, you're talking about their second in preventing other teams from converting?
they give up the second least
Okay,
third down.
okay, that makes sense,
conversion.
yep.
So that's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to say the defense is that prominent. And I want to go back to Pat. I've let it settle for a little while.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I think Mahomes
Is more of an asset?
okay.
See, I don't know.
Here's what I'm gonna talk about. Maybe, but I think the Chiefs' offense is more of an asset to the Chiefs than the Niners' defense is.
Okay, no, I'm going to disagree. Because I'm gonna look at this one thing. So at one point, the Chiefs lost 3 out of 4 games.
Okay.
We're in a slump, dude. That was early in the season, dude.
Yeah, but okay. Thank you. What did they get a lot over the offseason? They got a lot of incoming defensive players.
Yep.
Okay,
They needed it. The reason
they needed it.
The reason that they lost the AFC Championship game against us is because they're terrible defense.
Yes,
They were not good.
So Neil touched on it a few podcasts ago. He said the defense needed time to kind of settle and become like one unit.
Right.
So I'm gonna count it off now. The Chiefs lost 4 out of 6 games at one point. Granted, I'm pretty sure
You know what, the
Mahomes
Niners-
was out for one.
The
of
Niners
those
had
games.
the Niners had a slump too. The Niners defense had a slump too.
They lost 3 games all year, so their slump could not have been that.
Right, but they had a slump too. So
Yeah, but here's my point.
Okay.
Okay, so here's my point. Earlier in the year, the Chiefs lost a lot of games because the defense wasn't settled yet.
Okay.
Okay.
So Patrick Mahomes wasn't that valuable to the team because the defense could have.
But do you notice something? Patrick Mahomes wasn't playing when they lost those games.
He only didn't play 2 games, and he only missed one of those games. He played the other 5.
I just think that had
So
something
he
to do with
lost. So he lost 4 out of 5.
I think when you get into playoff time, dude, and you say, all right, we're either going to take away the Chiefs' defense, some of the star power on the Chiefs' defense, or we're going to take Patrick Mahomes away from you.
Yeah, I think that's kind
But
of.
that's not what I was
down.
debating. I
But
was
you
debating the
kinda
49ers
were.
defense.
But you were just talking about the Chiefs'
indirectly.
defense.
Okay, well, let's just agree to disagree. So I want to compare both of the teams, Chiefs and Niners.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we've talked about it, but the flaws. I want to compare both of the teams.
Let's get right down into
So
it.
this is it. Okay, this is our last game.
Big dance.
This is the
It's a
Super
big
Bowl.
dance.
This is the last game we're going to
Analyze.
analyze.
Yep.
It's crazy.
This is going to
It's
be
kinda
one hell of a game.
We're summon everything.
It's nostalgia.
Wrap it all.
I think I've given enough stats. So I'm just going to compare the offense and the defense.
Just talk,
and give
man.
edges to both.
Yep.
So let's talk about the quarterbacks. Jimmy G and Patrick Mahomes.
Patty.
Edge, Mahomes, no stats necessary, no debate. Next topic.
Edge
Running
Chiefs.
backs.
I'm keeping score.
Okay.
Edge Chiefs.
Running backs. Mostert led the league in yards per carry, coming off of a
I think
220
Niners
yard
at the edge.
performance.
Edge Niners.
Tevin Coleman had 150 yards. Edge Niners. And then there's David Williams, who was outrushed by his quarterback Patrick Mahomes in back-to-back weeks. So now let's talk about the wide receivers. I take Tyreek Hill over anyone. I'd rather take Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Travis Kelce over Deebo Samuel, Emmanuel Sanders, and George Kittle. Let's put
Chiefs.
one more finger up to the Chiefs. Now let's talk about the defense. Might be contradictory.
Ooh, yeah.
Obviously, the 49ers have a better defense, but the Chiefs are playing really well against
Yeah,
I
rushing
talked about this
offenses.
before, man.
Against
It's all about the momentum.
against rushing offenses.
And they are clearly a
What's
rushing
the-
offense, right?
Yep. In the past 2 weeks, Ravens and Titans, 2 very rush-heavy teams.
Yep.
So they're shutting them down. So why can't they do it again?
Right.
That's why I think, yes, the 49ers have a better overall defense, but I think the Chiefs' defense matches up better against the 49ers' offense than the 49ers' defense matches up against the Chiefs' offense.
Yeah.
Bear with me. So we have 3 Chiefs, 1
You keep
49ers.
You're
You
the
keep
middle.
score.
You're
You
the
do
middle.
it.
You're the
All
middle.
right,
You keep score.
that's fair. That's fair.
So I said last week that either AFC team, or 2 weeks ago, sorry. I said 2 weeks ago that either AFC team is going to win the Super Bowl. And I'm sticking to my word. I have the Kansas City Chiefs defeating the San Francisco 49ers 31-24 to give Mahomes
Me
his
too.
first
Exactly
of many rings.
31-20. Go for it. Hop in.
I want you to hop in.
No. Go for it. All you.
All right. So one thing, this is sad to say, and this is very sad, and I'm very scared to say this. This will be my final X Factor of the 2019 season. My final X Factor of the 2019 season.
Cheers to all your viewers.
Cheers. It's gonna be Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes will be my X Factor. And this is the stat. I want you to remember this stat and take it to your grave. Are you ready? All 3 losses to the 49ers in the regular season have been to Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, and Russell Wilson. What do all 3 of those...
Running.
They can move.
They can scramble.
They can... And I'm so glad you said that. It's less so that they're running quarterbacks.
Lamar Jackson can run.
Against, of course. I'm just saying that they're mobile. He can run and he can pass. He's crazy. It's less so that they're running, but against this dominant Niners defense, who have looked unstoppable. They're such a
That's
good
a
defense.
really good stat.
And there's a big.
And there's more.
Hold on, I want to interrupt for just a brief second because I want to differentiate between the ability to scramble and the necessity to scramble. So, for example, Brady is old. He has to scramble to not get killed.
Brady doesn't have to scramble. They need to build a good offensive line.
Yes, but sometimes you can't. Sometimes you're just gonna play a good.
He's a pocket passer. That's what he's been in his entire career. Scrambling is like moving out of the pocket, creating different options.
Creating space.
He's good at like maneuvering the pocket to be able to like.
But it's he moves off of a necessity, like you said. He throws from the pocket. He's stationary. Whereas Wilson,
he can move.
He can move as he chooses. He doesn't really
But extending so I think Mahomes sits in that Wilson type category in the sense of the running. He's not going to run the ball like there'll never be like a QB like he won't just run the ball himself like Jackson does. Do you know what I mean? Like on a play. But if he sees a thing, he can move around and he can run the ball too. So for extending the play for just enough time to get it to a receiver downfield with an arsenal of offensive weapons on the Chiefs. He's averaging a crazy 338 passing yards per game in the 2019 season. That's absurd. Good receivers can get open regardless if they're given enough time.
Yeah.
That is a fact. That sounds very opinionated, but if you're a good receiver and you're given 5 or 6 seconds,
you can get open,
which is stupid.
You are able to get open. It's
yeah. You
can get open
5 or 6 like that's.
If you can count 5 or 6 seconds and you can't get past it, you should be on the bench. And the fact that Mahomes can scramble around and make space and create time, he's going to get it to these incredibly talented weapons he has on the offense, and that is why Mahomes gets his first Super Bowl ring, first time in 50 years.
Wow.
I really think that Patrick Mahomes is going to absolutely carry this team. He's going to put them on their back, and when they need him most, I have Patrick Mahomes winning Super Bowl 54.
Interesting.
Final
you know what? Let's clap it up.
Let's go, boys. All right.
So, 2-minute warning?
Hop in, man.
Okay.
2-minute warning?
All right, so
I think I forgot to mention the outline, but I did not forget 2-minute warning. Go for it.
All right, so yeah, it's a very simple 2-minute warning this week. The Chiefs, we talked about their fatal flaws. I think we're all on board with the run game, right? Run game is there. That's their biggest flaw. That's the biggest hump they're gonna have to overcome if they want to win. Maybe.
I was just about to say
maybe because they may not.
Chiefs might not have to have. Yeah.
Yep.
So and then we talked about the 49ers fatal flaws. We had a little bit of back and forth. It's very similar though. Jimmy G, the wide receivers. I mean, one's catching the ball from the other.
The passing offense.
The ball to the other.
Yeah.
The passing offense as a whole is their flaw. And then we dove into the Chiefs' biggest strength, which I said Mahomes. You said wide receiver that
I switched.
Jump ship over to Mahomes.
I feel like we all.
I feel like I'm blanking right now.
I feel like we all kind of
We all agree with Mahomes on that.
Biggest strength on the 49ers, defense.
Yep.
Obviously. And then summed up the game itself. Talked about the stats. Oh, the spread also 1.5. Chiefs favor 1.5 to throw that in there.
It's a close game.
Spread's 1.5. Gonna be a close game. I'm really excited for it.
I'm hyped. It's gonna be an awesome game.
It's gonna be a great game.
Really looking forward to it.
So let's hop into top 3.
Top 3.
I kind of want to start this one off. So
Absolutely.
So did you guys do top 3?
Oh, by the way, this is the first top 3 I've ever written down.
Interesting.
I usually just go off the dome. This is the first one I've actually written down.
So is this did you guys do more Patriots Super Bowl moments?
All of mine happen to be Patriots moments.
Me too.
Yes, happen to be, but not all of them are.
Right.
I have one that isn't.
So my 3 is the Vinatieri, the second Vinatieri.
That was
why?
Panthers.
Yeah, it was. Why not the first one?
Just because there's a picture of me going like this in a Patriots
No, it's kind
of
yes, but that dictates.
No, but you know what? I respect
it's
it.
the memory
That's
that I
was
associate.
That's the memory. That's
cool. You said Super Bowl memorable moment. That's
a memorable moment for him.
Number 2, I got the Butler interception.
Okay. Self-explanatory.
So actually, I have a funny story about this. So I'm watching it with my friend Liam in my basement, and I was so nervous that I actually switched the channel. So I've never told either of you this, but I never saw firsthand the Butler, and I never saw the actual pick.
You were just saying.
I'm trying to limit my words right now.
You were just saying how it was. Oh, it's the memories. You never had the memory. Are you kidding me?
But I experienced the screaming afterwards when I discovered. Oh yeah, that occurred.
No.
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed. That's ridiculous.
You know what? That's my first time confessing that ever. So
number one.
Never
Just,
did.
I just hit it with the number one.
Number one, 25-point comeback.
That's not a moment.
Nope.
That's not a moment.
That's a moment.
That is
That's
an
a
entire.
moment.
That's a 1.5
that's an
quarter. That's
entire
an hour and a
quarter.
half.
I think that's a moment.
That's not a moment.
I need one
Give
play.
me one moment from that 25-point comeback.
I need like a play or two, or like a drive. I need something.
Okay, the James White drive in overtime.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep.
So I'm gonna hop in. Number 3, you might not. You'll know what it is. I don't know. You'll know what it is. It might not come to your mind though. Santonio Holmes.
That was like my number 4. That was my number 4.
Back in the
Toe
end
tap
zone,
in the end
spot,
zone.
yep.
12
Crazy.
seconds. Cardinals go up by 4, and Ben
Larry
Roethlisberger.
Fitzgerald's crazy run.
Yes,
That
Ben
goes very unsaid.
Yeah, because I didn't win.
Right.
Ben Roethlisberger has to go down the field with 40 seconds to go. 12 seconds left. Air is deep. Santonio Holmes, toe tap.
I'm like
Super Bowl
Yeah.
43. Ben gets his first ring.
crazy.
Number 2, Edelman catch. Super Bowl 51. It's where he bobbles it with 4 other defenders around him, puts the Patriots on track
Like an
to
inch.
complete
Like
the
a crazy
25-point
inch.
comeback.
Crazy.
And number 1, the Malcolm Butler interception. Enough said. Please, Patrick.
Number 3 for me is going to be.
I actually watched it.
God. Number 3 for me is going to be the Rams.
Whoa, hold on, time out. I just switched it just for that exact second. So
Alright, whatever.
When they snapped it, I switched it, but then I switched it back right away. So I didn't totally miss
count.
it.
You missed
It
it.
kind of counts.
It does not count.
No.
You missed it. Number 3 for me is going to be the Patriots for Super Bowl win. It's just so it's amazing. You know what I mean?
That's not a moment.
Yeah, I wasn't
That's a
live.
moment. Like the
I'm talking like the kick.
Oh, the kick.
The kick.
Oh, okay.
Vinatieri puts it away.
Patriots win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Number 2, it's a play from Super Bowl 51. I'd like to say in front of everybody watching, and you can attest for me. I didn't know you hit them because I was in 8th grade. I never once doubted that Patriots team. I said
I didn't either.
they're gonna come back.
Maybe no.
They're gonna come
Because
back. They're gonna come back.
I
And
will
they
write
did.
that on my gravestone. I never gave up on the Patriots Super Bowl 51.
Yeah,
Ever.
I didn't.
Never did.
I didn't give them up.
My entire thing was they're down 3 scores.
Right.
That was my entire mindset. Like they're down by 3 scores.
There's only 3.
They can get 3
They
scores.
can do it.
It's Tom Brady.
And the thing that set that into motion, and if this didn't happen, they would have lost the Super Bowl.
Dante Hightower.
Dante Hightower.
Let's go. We're right
fumble
here.
at like the 50-yard line.
Yes.
The Super Bowl would have been lost
Yep.
without
That
this fumble.
And
it was a sack.
The sack that took them out of field goal range.
That's what
because
I'm saying.
Julio Jones got this insane toe tapping.
I
catch
remember it perfectly.
out of the 25.
Honestly, I was about to lose hope right there. I was like, oh jeez. Oh
Then I'm
no.
like,
And then
I was like,
this
wait
is
a
gonna be a
minute.
good story.
I remember there's a video
I
of
can
Julian
tell.
Edelman walking around talking to everybody with their head down. Gonna be a hell of a story. Gonna be a hell of a story.
It was.
Greatest Super Bowl
It
of
is.
all
Yep,
time.
yep.
Number 1 for me, Malcolm Butler. There is
How could it
nothing.
not?
There is nothing. I really wish, to be honest, I wish that 51 didn't end with such a questionable play. Super Bowl 51, they were like, wait, was his knee down? I wish it was like,
Yeah,
boom,
I know.
no question.
Dude, there
Patriots-
wasn't a whole lot of questioning to it.
There was
Like,
a little bit.
Like a little.
There was a
but-
little
the
bit.
Falcons
dude.
were just mad.
But,
They were
but here's the
bad.
thing. I was celebrating so much when I saw his arm cross the
Oh,
lane.
yeah.
And then I saw the ref go, oh, no, I was running around in my house already.
Yeah.
It was the greatest comeback of all time. But number 1, moment, number 1 play
Butler.
would
'Cause
have
you
to
really
be
won.
Butler only because all hope was lost.
Yeah.
Oh, we were
Agreed.
like, they're on the 1-yard
Yeah.
line.
And they
have
We were on the 1-yard
Marshawn
line
Lynch.
with one of the greatest running backs in the league at the time.
Yep.
We were sitting there, we were like, they're on the 1-yard.
Maybe the greatest. You think? No. Of that in that season.
Oh, yeah. I think,
Not of all time.
I think he was the
No,
best
okay.
running back.
2014.
Dude, he was the best running back in that season. He was absurd.
Maybe he was.
He
I
was
can't remember
fantastic. You have him on the 1-yard line, and they pass it. And it was such a great play. Malcolm Butler cuts through.
Yeah.
God, it was so awesome.
Yep. I think we've
concluded
just about wrapped up.
our last analysis podcast.
Let's go, man.
I'm Neil.
I'm Pat.
I'm Michael.
and we will see you next time. There's gonna be
Let's go! Come on! Let's go!
Go!
Come on! Let's go! Come on! Let's go! Come on! Let's go, boys! That was good.